called Temu, Shop Like a Billionaire. Women's fashion, home and kitchen, men's trends, categories. No, that thing sucks. I'm going to the Bondi to Manly site.
Yeah, mine says sports splits tracker.
Being given a start time yet?
No, let's see if this says one. This one's working for me. You got the line says a sports tracking.
I'm on the Bondi to Manly site and I'm looking for their tracking app.
Well, I've downloaded this one here. On this one here, there. That's worked for me. I've got this.
Yeah, but how did you get that? I just want to know how you got it.
I took a photograph of it and then I did the thing and it came up there. Like that.
Well, mine didn't do that.
Yeah, we'll do
it showed Temu.
We'll do it again on that one there. I've opened up that one for you. Where's your photograph?
It's not.
I take a photograph of it. You come to RR. Mine.
To get the QR thing, you open up a QR code scanner.
Mine didn't do that. I didn't do that. Show me your thing.
QR code scanner.
I didn't have to do that. Yeah, that's the one, I think.
Temu.
This way. Please.
I'm not stupid.
I didn't. Who said you're stupid?
Does it matter?
Give it to me.
Taking a photograph of it doesn't do it.
Hello, everyone who's here. I know it's 5:30. I just think we'll give a couple of minutes for a few more people to join us. I can see everyone trickling in as the minutes pass by, so we'll maybe just give a minute before we get started, if that's all right. Now, if this was race morning, 50 people would have missed the starting gun. Might give it another minute and then we'll get started. Right. I might kick off. I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping. If everyone can put themselves on mute and keep yourself on mute, that would be great. If I see it, I will mute you, like Sally. But if you notice that there's a lot of background noise, check your own mic. And second one is just if you have questions throughout the briefing, it goes for, you know, a good amount of time. If you can just chuck them in the chat at the top of your screen, you should be able to see a little chat icon. Chuck them in the chat and we'll address them at the end. Hopefully we cover a lot of stuff over the next 45 minutes to an hour, but we will go through those questions at the finish. So I just thought I'd jump on and introduce myself. So I'm Ellie Paholski. I'm the CEO of the Bondi to Manly Ultra and started the event. This is our third year, which is super exciting. I'm basically here to thank you all for coming back. That's why I come on to the race course briefing. But I just want to thank everyone for getting behind the event. I know we have some runners that are doing their third ultra or their third relay, which is just amazing that, you know, you keep coming back and obviously spreading the word because we keep growing, which is really exciting. We've doubled in size since our first year. Our first year was 2022 and we've doubled since then, which is amazing, and all thanks to you guys because we, I don't know, don't pay for marketing, so it must be word of mouth, which is amazing. So thank you all for coming back and getting behind us. We obviously love the event and we hope that we, you know, meet your expectations every year and make it better and better every year. That's kind of our goal. And also I want to thank our partners, so Johnson & Johnson, Janssen, they got behind the event in the first year, and so did Business New South Wales, Pace Athletic, Running Room, Recovery. There's a few actually, and most of our partners have come back every year, which is amazing. And Coca-Cola has been behind us. Haro, this is their first year. Manly Pacific, Bird and Bear have got behind us every year as well with the coffee vouchers, and they've given us some prizes for this year as well, which is exciting. And it's just so kind, like really generous for everyone to get behind us and keep supporting the event. Cliff coming on board this year is really exciting. So thank you to all the partners that make it kind of possible and add value for our runners, which is, you know, the best part. I thought I'd give a bit of background why we started the event. This is probably the third year for some of you to hear this, but I'll keep it brief. So it's on the next slide, Simon. Just manning the sliding. There you go. You would have seen this. It's everywhere on our website, and it's on the back of your medals this year as well. But we basically, the Bondi to Manly Walk was set up in partnership with 15 government landholders in 2018. We signed the MOU in 2019. We launched the walk. And it's essentially to protect, preserve and enhance the public land and natural environment around the harbour along the Bondi to Manly track. So the Ultra was set up like for a multitude of reasons, but the biggest one is obviously the more people who are using the track, the public land, the more that we can demonstrate the value of that public land to governments of all varying levels, and it just shows people want it and we should preserve it and then, you know, invest into it and make capital works. And you can see some of the works that have improved over the last 3 years. The biggest one that you'll notice this year on course is Middle Head being open, which is a huge $10 million investment. It does mean that every year we kind of have little changes to the course because capital works are happening, but I mean, you know, you love it and hate it because it means that the public land's improving and we all get to enjoy it once it's done, but it might impact race day, which is a bit annoying for us. So yeah, that's the biggest cause of a lot of our closures over the course and changes and stuff. But it's good to see longer term, and it means that, you know, the event will get better and better, which is great. I kept it quite brief that time, but I will now introduce Simon. So Simon is the operations director, and he manages our a lot of the ops on the day, and he's about to go through all of the finer details of the event and hopefully addressing all the little particulars that everyone will be interested in hearing. And then, as I said, questions, chuck them into the chat box and we will come back to them at the end and answer everything then. Awesome. Over to you, Simon, wherever you are.
Thank you, Elle, and thanks everyone for joining. Obviously an 80K course, there's a lot of information to get through over the next 52 minutes now. So we will try to go through as much detail as possible, but also where possible, just kind of speed it up a little bit. I guess what we're trying to do is ensure that you have all the information to have the greatest experience on event day, but also ensuring that you feel safe. There's a lot of work put in, obviously, the safety of this event. It is so complex and it is a long distance race. So a lot of information regarding event safety as well. So just, I guess, a quick overview of what we will go through. Obviously, the event overview, bibs, bag drop, mandatory gear, event day, key timings, start waves and start line operation. We'll go through the course map and work through some of the key hazard or tricky areas. Look at wayfinding out on course and then looking through the aid stations and what to expect there as a solo and also relay runner. Again, looking at some course hazards, touching on some wildlife issues, toilets and water, cut-off and redirection plans, and then the finish line, transport options, emergency medical procedures, event safety, and then the weather forecast, which is looking very nice, fingers crossed. So I hope that most people know the event day by now, but it's this Saturday, the 26th of October, starting at Bondi Beach and finishing at Manly. The distance is approximately 79, so just under that 80K, and the elevation 973 metres. Quick overview. So obviously there's the Ultra, which is a solo race just under 80 kilometres, undertaken by one participant, and then we have the relay, which compiles 4 participants, each person tackling 20 kilometres approximately. There's the participant numbers, so amazing numbers, as Elle alluded to, significant growth. So 740 ultra runners and 456 relay teams, which is incredible. I guess those that were here last year, you would have noticed a slight change in the start times, and that is to ensure that we kind of spread the runners out, or at least spread the relay and solo runners out a little bit, so there's less overtaking in the early part of the course. But great to see so many numbers this year. This is just the bib, which most of you will hopefully have. If you haven't collected it, most of you will get it on Friday. So we look at the solo, pro solo bib. You'll notice there'll be a P up above your wave. You'll have your bib number and then your name down the bottom. We then look at the solo ultra race, where you'll have a yellow bib, and then you'll have your wave number up on the left-hand side. And that's important to note, especially for the start, and then your bib number. And then we have the relay race, which will have your wave number. So it's white, obviously, so that's the difference between the solo and relay race. You'll have the wave A or wave B or C on the left-hand side. And then also worth noting your runner order. So if it'll be either 1, 2, 3, or 4, and just ensuring that everyone starts at the appropriate relay changeover location based on your number. We don't want leg 4 runners running in the first leg. Bib collection. So we have bib collection this Friday. There was an option to collect bibs last weekend in Manly as well. So that'll operate between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. at Bondi Pavilion. And then if you need to collect your bib on race day, ultras and leg 1 runners, please go to the registration desk at the start venue. For leg 2, 3, 4, please head directly to the registration desk at the start of your relay leg, and just ensure you arrive on time, 1 hour prior. There's just a bit of work to get through there, so there may be a slight queue. Bag drop. This is offered to solo participants only, so no relay runners. So participants have the options to drop their bags on Friday or Saturday morning, and they can be taken to either aid station 2 or finish line. Each participant is limited to 1 acceptable bag, which you can see down the right-hand side, and it'll then obviously be taken to the relevant location. Labelling, you can see on the right-hand side an example. So just putting your wave and bib number up the top with your name and then the location. So 2 locations are aid station 2 or finish. Drop off will be in the car park just behind the pavilion. So again, that can be done on Friday, as I mentioned, or on event day. It's worth noting from a collection perspective, if you leave Milson Park at 10:30, so that's aid station 2. So if you arrive before 10:30, your bag will be delivered to the finish at 11:30. If you arrive after this time, your bag will be delivered after 3:30 p.m. That is aligned. So based on our timing analysis, everyone should receive their bag before they finish. But just worth noting those numbers. If you do seem to speed up in those last 2 legs, you may just have to wait a little while.
Sorry, Simon, just on that, we asked for everyone to have their phone number on their bag as well. So AS2 or finish line only and your phone number underneath, just in case.
Yeah, great. Thanks, El. Mandatory gear. This is not something we do to be a pain in the bum. We do it because it's for safety purposes. So it's really important that people do carry these items. Specifically water. Last year we faced a number of people, more so the relay runners, running without any cups, and runners don't look great at the end of a 20k leg. So really important that every person is carrying a cup in the relay, or a minimum 400 ml hydration pack, and ultra runners a minimum of 800 ml. I'm comfortable with people changing over their cups at aid stations if that's what happens with relay runners. However, we ask that everyone carries some form of hydration pack or cup. Mobile phones, really important you carry your mobile. That helps with one, relay runners being able to identify when their runners are coming through, but also is a safety element as well. If you need to contact someone, you can make a phone call. Compression bandages, we do go through a national park, so there is some wild animals out there, so we do ask you to carry a compression bandage. Thermal blankets for the ultra runners, not the relay runners. Rain jacket will not be required based on the weather, and head torches are not a requirement. However, we strongly encourage you to carry one if you're starting in waves A, B, and potentially C for the ultra as well. We are starting much earlier and it's quite dark in the early stages. In some areas where it's dark on the golf course and headland, we have got some lights, but still strongly encourage everyone to wear head torches for your own safety. And I'll go through that a little bit more further down. We will be checking mandatory gear at the finish line, and there will be a 10-minute penalty for any item. It doesn't seem like a lot, but for those runners that are running quick, that will be quite a significant impact on your time. But it's more just really important that everyone does carry this gear for your own safety. Event day timings. So quickly go through this. We've spoken about race bib collection at Bondi Pavilion on Friday. Sorry, is that your? I think that's yours page now.
Sorry, Simon, you're just working on an old presentation which had the wrong times. Sorry.
What's that, sorry?
You were just working on an old presentation which had the wrong times, just for the bib collection. I didn't want everyone to get the wrong one and then miss it.
Okay.
Can you see this now?
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry. to bump you off.
Going back to solo shuttle bus will depart at 3:30, and then the relay shuttle will depart at 4:15. I will show the location shortly. Start line venue open 4:15 through to 6:45. Bag drop from 4:15 through to 5:30. Solo race the elites will kick off at 5:15, and then shortly after the rest of the field will kick off. I'll take you through a little bit more detail below. We then have the relay race, preferred start starting at 6:15, and then the relays, the other participants starting at just after, and that going through till 6:30. We have aid station 1 cutoff time at 9 for solos, 9:15 for relays. Finish line venue opens at 11, and then the first relay finisher will arrive roughly around 11:41, closely followed by the first finish for the ultra at 11:45. Aid station cutoff 12:20. Female first finisher expected at 12:37. Presentations for those that are part of the winning parties will be at 3 o'clock, and then aid station 3 cutoff 4:20. Aid station 4 cutoff 6 o'clock, and then the finish line cutoff at 8 o'clock. So start waves, I'll go through the next slide, which will go through a little more detail, but so the way we'll operate the start line is we're releasing runners in groups of 15. So every 30 seconds, we'll release a pulse for another 15, and that's really important we do that to then spread out the load across the course, because we are using obviously a lot of single trail. We're also using a lot of roadways and public footpaths. So please make sure you follow the direction of volunteers at the start line and event crew, and try not to break that system, because it has been working really well over the past little while. Jump to the next slide, Elle. So this is just detailing the start times. So wave A will prefer to leads at 5:15, wave A at 5:15 as well, just following. Wave B roughly 5:22, wave C 5:29, and wave D 5:36. Preferred start elite for the relay will be 6:15, closely followed by wave A at 6:15 as well, wave B at 6:21, and wave C at 6:27, with that window finishing at 6:30. This is just a map to show you how it will work. If you look up down the bottom, the middle, that screenshot on the right, you'll see the start line. That's where we'll be feeding everyone through. But you'll see up the top level in front of the Bondi Pavilion, we have wave A, B, C, and D entry points. So looking for your entry point when you arrive in the morning and entering through that gateway. If volunteers see that you're going the wrong one, they will push you obviously the right direction. There will also be signage at each entry point, so it'll be quite clear. Once you're loaded into the start chute, we'll then move you down into the lower level, down near the beach and into the start chute. There is toilets around the other side of Bondi Pavilion. So there'll be some inside Bondi Pavilion, and also just neighbouring that toilet block as well. So there's plenty of toilets. So it'll be on the higher side on the right. So if you're looking at the corner up the right, that's where you'd see the toilets, or find the toilets. You'll see the medical tent just above wave C, and also a registration tent as well. There was also a water station to refill your hydration pack, and cafe operating where those umbrellas are, so get your early morning hydration, caffeine hit, sorry. Next slide. So just the course map, and I'll just quickly share my screen and go through in a little bit more detail and zoom in on some areas. Bear with me for 2 seconds. So just quickly highlighting the amount of signage and cones and tape and whatnot across the course. The team will be out on Friday installing all that signage and tape along the course. So that's just there, I guess, highlighting the enormity of the work. So the course starts at Bondi Beach. It goes around the headland and then back along the roadway. This section here up through Bondi, North Bondi Golf Course is a new section. And that takes it off road, which would be a much nicer experience. But as I said, in through this section here, there is it is quite dark in the early hours. We will have a bunch of lights that run up the course, which would be like a landing strip, and then a couple of light towers as well in some dark areas, and then following the barricade up to the top and back onto Military Road footpath. Also being aware, this area in here is a cliff, so be very careful around this space. We will have volunteers here and a light tower, just noting that. The course then continues through the residential streets along the cliff's edge into Dover Heights. Again, I guess the main risk here is just around road crossings, so being aware. This area in here is actually new. Traditionally, we went down Eastern Reserve, but that is currently closed, so we're coming back along the roadway. Back along the Dover Height headland and cliffs, beautiful section of the course, up to South Head, Hornby Lighthouse, doing a loop around there and then coming back. This area in here is one staircase. It does get quite tight, so just being patient in this space during the peak flow, coming around the headland and down to Watson's Bay, where you'll find our first water station. We then continue on through the residential streets, over the Parsley Beach Bridge, down to Neilson Park. I'll touch on this section a little bit later just to showcase exactly what you need to do. But this is an area where people do not struggle to understand, but do get a little bit lost at times. We'll have a volunteer there, but just understanding that. Also, we do find a lot of participants running on the road. I'll touch on this a little bit later, but it's completely against the rules of the race and against our permits from a council and government perspective. So we ask that everyone maintains their race along the footpath, and that's obviously for your safety, but it's also to make sure you don't miss the directional signs because they are positioned to be directing people on the footpath. Heading along Hermitage Beach Track, which is a beautiful part of Sydney, and over to Rose Bay Beach and Ada Lynn Park, we've got Aid Station 1. A new part for the course is actually coming along the beach instead of coming back onto the main road. We will have a small little aluminium bridge which goes across the waterway here, which spans about 2 meters. So just taking care crossing that. Prefer you didn't get your feet wet to avoid getting blisters throughout the course. Coming through, obviously, Aid Station 1, again along the waterway, Point Piper, we go down to Redleaf Beach. Heading over to Rushcutters Bay. Again, this is a notorious area for people to enter back onto the road and miss signage and also impede traffic. So along this area, ensuring you stay on the footpath at all times. We then do a short out and back and then back on the waterway over to Potts Point and then down to Woolloomooloo and do a loop around Mr. McCrory's chair. This is our first redirection point here. If you miss cutoff point 1, you'll be redirected and miss 1.2 kilometres. We then head back through the Domain, over Shakespeare Street, which is the main road, which I'll highlight a little bit later, down through Royal Botanic Gardens. We have a water station in here. We go around the Opera House. The Opera House doesn't allow us to have any tape markings, so please just make sure you follow the perimeter of the path around the Opera House, through Circular Quay, and then over the bridge, up the stairs and over the bridge. Over to North Sydney, where we then come back past the Prime Minister's house. You'll see a checkpoint there as well, over a timing mat and down into Milton's Park, where there'll be Aid Station 2, a relay changeover and baggage. We then continue through Subbase Platypus, through the residential areas, and then over to Cremorne Point. Cremorne Point is a really busy area with general public on a hot day, so please just make sure you're being mindful of other people in their space as well. You're probably starting to get tired legs by this stage. and specifically around just before Mossman Rowers, there's quite a tight path where we'll be managing participants and general public, kind of one-way flow at that point. Up through Mossman Rowers, over to through Cyrus Beach and Whiting Beach over Taronga Zoo, and then going around Bradley's Head. This area, we do find a few people taking the wrong turns. We're introducing wrong way go back signs this year. So if you do see one of those signs, make sure you turn back and return to your previous path. Around Bradley's Head, down to Clifton Gardens, and then taking the new path along George's Head over to Middle Head, so not heading back up the hill. We're following the new path along the water's edge, which is beautiful. Over to Gubba Gubba, Middle Head, doing a loop around and back up to Balmoral. Balmoral Beach, you'll enter the beach just at the northern end. So once you get to the cafe and restaurant here, you drop down onto the beach and continue to finish up the headland. Another beach section before heading down to Spit Bridge. Spit Bridge I'll touch on shortly, but obviously opens. So we've got a management system there, which I'll go through a little bit later on, over Spit Bridge, and then entering into Spit to Manly section. Clontarf Beach will be aid station number 3, and the final changeover point for leg 4. This is an extremely busy path for Sydney-siders, so again, being very mindful of other general public don't have exclusive use, so just keeping your head up and looking out for general public. Heading along to North Harbour Reserve and back along 40 Baskets walk over to Manly Beach, where we have aid station 4. So this is purely a rehydration and refueling stop for the final 10 kilometres. Coming through Little Manly section and back a road crossing up to Middle Head, where we go straight through the barracks. Slightly different variation to last year. We went round the Scenic Drive. We won't be going around the Scenic Drive this year. We'll go straight over the crossing and heading back along the dirt path all the way down to Shelley Beach. Worth noting that you'll get to a hole in the wall. We have seen people turning left and following the wall along. Please make sure you go through the hole in the wall. It seems quite low and it's a gate. It may seem locked or inaccessible, but it is the right direction. Around Ferry Bower Headland, back into Shelley Beach, and then the beautiful finished straight or section down to Manly Beach. I'll touch on a few of the specific areas in more detail in the next couple of slides, but Bill, do you want to bring that presentation back up, please?
Oh, I think we can use yours now. I'll bring up anything that I don't notice. But I did want to just mention that we've had a couple of changes this week, some good, some openings and some closings. The Manly Pavilion's now been opened, and Clifftop Walk around above Waverley, like Bondi, Vaucluse area, there's a section that has closed. Someone mentioned it in the chat just a second ago as well. So that has now all been updated. The GPX files are all updated as well as of yesterday. So if you have downloaded the GPX files, then please re-download them. Really sorry for the changes. It was all kind of council's opening and closing sections of the path. And just on another question is that there is a lot of signage on course. We have 497 signs, 400 volunteers, a lot of tape. So it's not something you need to have is having a GPX file on your watch. Not everyone has a GPX watch, a GPS watch, but it's just a nice to have. So if you don't see a volley for a while, then you can revert to that, or you can revert to the website, or you can revert to the event app as well. There's like multiple options for you to have a look and find out where to go if you feel like you're lost, but hopefully you won't be. Plus there's another 1,200 people on the course as well, so try and keep up with them.
Thanks, Elle. And just obviously a couple of areas to be mindful of or note. This is a new section, so coming up the staircase which is quite narrow. So it will be quite reasonably dense in terms of runner flow at this stage. So just being mindful of other runners coming up these stairs and entering onto the golf course. The golf course does have some undulation at times. Beware for the bunkers, don't fall in them. We're going to be putting some lights just in front of the bunkers as well, just to highlight them. As I mentioned, there'll be lights throughout the entire section of golf course. This is Nielsen Park, so it's an out and back section, which I touched on before. There will be a volunteer here, however, you will be directed to go outbound and then come back round and do a loop. It's about 400-metre section and then enter Nielsen Park and Shark Beach. This is the Rose Bay section, which I touched on. That's the bridge. I don't think I need to go into too much detail there, but just highlighting a new area. And this is the road crossing along Shakespeare. As you can see, there's live tracking, there's pedestrian lights as well. Quick video just to kind of highlight the way that we want everyone to operate. Listen to the volunteers and don't cross on a red light. Although you're trying to get through and get your time, it's really important you don't disobey the volunteers. So it may seem simple, but a really important element of the event. So it's not only this section, but any road crossings that we are following the road rules. This is Circular Quay. For those that are from Sydney, you'll know that this space is very busy on a warm day. People exiting the ferries or coming off the train or just there as a tourist. This section here is I'm highlighting because it's not the easiest thing to mark out. So just want to note that once you go past Wharf 2, so you'll come around the Opera House down the water side and hit Wharf 2, just going through the pillars underneath the train station where you'll find a volunteer and then we'll push you along the other side. So don't go through the ferry terminals, go around the other side on Alfred Street. Gubba Middle Head, so this is slightly different, but also an area where people do get a little bit lost at times. We'll have plenty of cones marking out this section, so follow the cones and the volunteers, but this you'll be dropping down into the old historical military infrastructure and then following the path around this way. So it's slightly new, but a nice little experience. Highlighting Little Manly section, there's just a number of road crossings, so you'll be really tired by this stage. You've run 71 Ks, so just being mindful of those road crossings because they can be quite busy roads, and obviously following directions of volunteers and looking out for signs, and definitely avoid running on the road. There's a road crossing at this point here. It is a busy road, so just be mindful. Spit Bridge, which I touched on before, there is 4 opening to 5 opening times throughout the day relevant to us. So at 8:30, 10 o'clock, 11:30, 2:30 and 4:30. If you get stopped, don't stress. We have timing mats on both sides of the bridge and everyone's time will be deducted. So even if it takes you 20 seconds or it takes you potentially 5 minutes as you wait for the bridge, don't stress, it'll be balanced out across the event. Just wanted to highlight that. Also we did find a few people running on the eastern side of the bridge, which doesn't allow you to connect and then you have to cross a busy road. So making sure you're going underneath the bridge and coming up the other side. Wayfinding, so there'll be a mixture of wayfinding, as we've kind of spoken about. Obviously, course marshals will be plentiful, making sure we're saying thank you as we run past. They'll be doing reciprocating by cheering you on and keeping the energy high. We'll have pink tape pretty consistently throughout the course, every kind of 100 to 200 metres or through corners. There'll be field marker cones through grass patches, so where we can't put chalk, tape or signs. We'll have some field cones, chalk on the ground, and then obviously you can follow the GPX file as well. Just some tips, obviously utilize a GPS device if you have one. If there's no signage, we suggest you go straight. And if you don't see signage for a decent period, then we suggest you refer back to this course map or your GPX file, or just head backwards. 500 meters, you should see signage. So please make sure you return to where you've come from. This is just a really, this year, because people did miss this section last year, and I'm not sure how, but just making sure we can get into sections, looking for chalk on the ground or signs as well. But this is just an example of what you would see. Signage on poles. And these are just some of the signs, the signage examples. We'll have runway back signs, which I alluded to before. These signs in the middle, and then tape hanging quite low off trees, poles, or infrastructure. Just highlighting the water stations, which I touched on briefly. Obviously, water station 1, which is at Watsons Bay, you'll then be able to refuel at aid station 1. You then come through, and we have another water station at water station 2 at Royal Botanic Gardens, just before the Opera House. Then coming through to aid station 2, and then another water refill station at Clifton Gardens. The water stations will only have water. The aid stations will have more, which I'll touch on shortly. Aid station 3 at Clontarf, aid station 4 at Little Manly, also in Manly, down at the office, the Esplanade there. So this is just highlighting what you'll see at each aid station. Obviously water, electrolyte and fuel. We'll have medical at each. Toilets, we'll have portaloos at aid station 1 and aid station 2. The other ones will have toilet facilities, but as they aren't as busy, we haven't needed to get portaloos. Obviously timing mats and changeover. There's varying amounts of obviously refuel that could range from lollies to chips, and various other things as well, fruit included. So make sure you refuel with plenty and keep going. We also encourage everyone to carry their own items that they have been training with or want to take on the journey as well. I guess the only thing to highlight here is aid station 2 will obviously have the baggage transition as well. This is an example map of aid station. So this is aid station 1. So what you will see is you'll see a bunch of flags, and then we'll have fencing down either side, creating a chute. You'll come straight through over a timing mat, and then come through as a solo runner, being the yellow line. You'll then pick up your rehydration or fuel, and then continue on, exiting out over the timing mat, and off you go on your journey. As a relay participant, you will be kind of staged in here as the next leg. Relay runners will come through the same journey, tap their friend, or they shoot off on their own leg, and then you'll exit to the left-hand side of the tent and pick up your fuel and food and hydration as well. You'll see here portaloos. We also have medical and registration tent as well, for those picking up their bib. Any questions?
I'm just going to note on this, the reason that we've set up the aid stations differently to previous years is just to keep that main flow as clear as possible for the ultra runners who are, trudging on for another 60 Ks potentially. And so, they try to grab their fuel and then move on. And it also gives our relay runners a chance to celebrate and, have a snack and not feel like you have to move out of the way as much. I think Simon's got a video of how the transition works that's been on our socials and in the EDM if you haven't seen it already. There you go. It's just basically showing that you should have an indicative time of, it's gone really quickly on the screen, but have an indicative time of when your runner comes and then be ready, and then there you go. This is Simon, I'm going to let you read it out as you go through, so it's got a lot of steps. Yeah.
Essentially, what we will have is a timing mat. This is for relay runners. We'll have a timing mat about 1 kilometre prior to the aid station. So when you go to that timing mat, that will register obviously with the timing system on the app. We ask everyone downloads the app. You'll then get a notification as the next relay runner that your runner is approaching. At that point, we then ask that you will then enter into the relay pen. It'll generally be about 5 minutes or so just after. So you got a couple of minutes before you actually have to enter. So if you can hold off for kind of 2 to 3 minutes before you're going, that'll be great. The MC at the same time will be calling your name. So once you go over that timing map, we'll have an MC there. We'll be calling out your bib number. So when you hear the bib number called out, getting ready and trying to start entering into that pen. So that's a great feature. So please download the app. We also encourage relay teams to set up Find My Friends if you don't have that, which is essentially a tracking up on your phone by Apple. So really simple. You can see where they're at live. The predictive tracking app, the tracking app online is based on predictive tracking. So it's not completely accurate, but it is relatively good. Once they go over timing mats, then it recalibrates and gives them an accurate reading. In terms of arriving for relay, arrive 1 hour before. Listen, obviously, to the MCs calling out your bib numbers. Watch out for the alerts on your app, which we've gone through. Jump into the holding bay 2 minutes prior to your teammate arrival, and then enter the chute, high five, and head away on your journey. Aid Station 1 is quite busy. A little bit, I shouldn't say frantic, that's not the word. It's great atmosphere, but it is busy because the runners are so dense at this stage. Once you get through to Aid Station 2 and 3, it starts to calm down because the runners are spread out. So making sure that you're really aware of where you're meant to be, where your runner is important, and that helps us as well. I think that's it. We'll send obviously this briefing out so you can watch this infographic a little bit later. Baggage at Aid Station 2. So you'll come through. Let me pull out the pointer. You'll come through Aid Station, collect your fuel and rehydration. You'll then move over to baggage. Baggage is set up in your waves. So you've got wave A, B, C, and D, and then preferred elites on the left-hand side. So look out for your wave number on a sign. We then have the odd bibs will be on the left-hand side, and then you'll have your even bibs on the right-hand side. Volunteers will be assisting with this as well. Once you've got all your belongings and got your bag, please put your bag back in the box at the end of the chute. We will then know that this can be then taken to the finish line and then exit and head on your journey. Course hazards, we've touched on these, but I'll just recap again. Obviously, running on roads is illegal and we will apply a 10-minute penalty. So volunteers will be looking out for people running on the road. Road crossings we've touched on, so just crossing on green lights and ensure you look left and right. Residents driving out of their driveways, just being mindful of that. General public, obviously, through those pathways, through Camorne Point, Hermitage Track and Spitz Manly is quite tight and it's quite busy, so being mindful of everyone else. Uneven surfaces, it's an ultra run, similar to trail run, there's uneven surfaces. So just making sure you're looking down and looking where you're putting your feet is important, especially when you're starting to get tired. And I think we've gone through all those other areas of concern, being Circular Quay, Cremorne, Spitz Manly, and Shelley Walkway. Wildlife, so I have been asked to read this out as part of our license. So I'll quickly read it out to you. It's important runners are aware of the abundance of flora and fauna on course, especially within the national parks and Sydney Harbour Foreshore Trust lands. So one of the big ones is obviously up at North Head. Adhere to all signage, stay on the paths and tracks. If you identify any issues, i.e. sick animals or possible impact on the environment, please advise race officials. Don't handle any wildlife and take care, especially after 7 p.m. North Head is a refuge of echidnas, reptiles, frogs, and more than 100 bird species. It is also home to a number of rare and endangered plants and animals, including eucalyptus. I won't even try to read that word. The hair-leaved stringy bark. A population of long-nosed bandicoots and little penguins. Eastern suburb Banksias scrub as well. There are also locally extinct species, including eastern pygmy possums, brown echidnas, enterkinders, and bush rats. Toilets and water. So there's a map online which shows you the course map and also highlights all the toilets, being public toilets and whatnot. So obviously we've got water stations, we've got aid stations, we've got portaloos, but there will be plenty of services along the journey. So please make sure you're familiar with those locations. And if you're in between water stations or aid stations, that you know where to hydrate or go to the toilet. This is the cut-off and redirection plan. So as I mentioned before, if you don't reach aid station 1 by 9 or 9:15 as a solo runner, you'll be redirected at Royal Botanic Gardens and we'll cut off 1.5 kilometres. If you don't reach aid station 2 by 12:20, we'll redirect you at North Head, and then aid station 3 by 4:20, and aid station 4 by 6. We've got a redirection point at North Head as well. We have sweepers out on course. There's a team of 8 of them. For those who know Jane, she's very particular about her sweeping job and she does amazing work with her husband and a bunch of others. So they will be there to assist you. If you're starting to fall to the back, they'll be encouraging you and they'll be remaining with you and helping you get through the course. The idea of redirection is so we don't cut off your journey or your race. We allow you to continue running by cutting off certain sections. The biggest cutoff is roughly around 5 kilometres at North Head. So please don't be discouraged if you're falling behind. There is solutions to make sure we get you to the end and cross that finish line, get your medal. Manly, so this is the finish. Probably best if I show you, this is what it will look like on the day. There'll be a new archway, but this is essentially what you'll experience. As I think Elle touched on before, we encourage all teams to come together and finish the race together. It's a great experience. But a lot of emotion, a lot of heartache, and a lot of sore legs. And as such, we do have a number of facilities. So what we've done slightly different from previous years is we've separated a bunch of the services. So immediately as you come across the finish line, we'll have things like medal distribution, food and hydration. And then we'll move through to things like recovery. There's Hyro, electrolyte, there's massage services, there's ice baths as well. So that was just outside the fence area out here. So don't be worried if you come through the finish line, you don't do those services. They'll be a little bit further along. We've seen amazing atmosphere. A lot of people just visiting Manly, family and friends. So this is a great part of the event. Baggage, so to collect your bag, go through the finish area. On the other side of the pantry, we'll have an area where your bag will be. So please head there after your race. Transportation, which we've touched on, but just kind of go into a bit more detail. It will depart, the bus, so the pre-event shuttle will depart from Belgrave Street, stand E. So you're highlighted there. It's also in all your comms with a Google link as to where you need to go. During the race, there's obviously plenty of public transport for relay runners to get round, or alternatively for spectators to get round. We also have a Manly to Clontarf shuttle bus. So that will go from Belgrave Street and we'll go down to Clontarf, aid station 3 and back again. So that'll be operating on a loop service every 30 minutes. Starting from 8 o'clock in Manly, and obviously getting to Clontarf at 8:15 and returning. Limited parking at aid station 2, so strongly suggest you catch a train to Milson's Point station and get down that way. There is a few road closures around that space with some council activity. And then post-race, again, utilise the public transport system. Trip Planner is a great source of information if you need to get around. Obviously, Google Maps equally as good, and plenty of information about transport for spectators and participants on the website. Emergency and medical protocols. So on the back of your bib, you'll find a medical number. If you find yourself or you come across another participant that is struggling and you don't have access to a volunteer or an event crew, please call that number using your own mobile phone straight away. We have floating roaming medical teams. We have medical posts at each aid station and the finish line. So there's plenty of people out there. You just need to let us know what's going on. We ask that everyone fills in all the medical information on the back of the bib and then any emergency contact information as well. If it is an emergency, so if for whatever reason there's a cardiac issue or someone has severely injured themselves, we ask you to call 000. But if it's a simple medical incident that you'd see at another event, then we just ask you to call the medical number. But 000 is the emergency contact. If it's an emergency, any day, any activity, or anything that happens in your normal day, then call 000. Also, we ask that everyone supports other participants. You guys are the eyes out on the course, and given it's 80 kilometres, we can't cover everything. As we've discussed, there's plenty of volunteers, but we do ask that you do support us in alerting us to any kind of incidents. Whether you run on and find someone or whether you stay with them and call that number. Just some top line event safety, and I'll read through them because they're important. Don't run if you're feeling unwell or have an injury. Obviously, there'll be roaming and static medical, which I touched on, and we've gone through that medical number. Please ensure you fill out the emergency details, which we've touched on. And please ensure you advise us if you do pull out for any reason. This is to ensure we account for you and don't send out a search party. There is a sweeper vehicle out on course. So if you need to pull out and you need to be picked up and taken to the finish line or somewhere else, we can facilitate that. You just need to alert the officials on course. Please ensure you remain hydrated and fueled throughout the course of the event. Aid stations have plenty of refreshments and food, but as I said, we encourage you to carry your own as well. Please make sure you carry all the mandatory gear. This is not for your safety. No gear, expect a penalty. Wear comfortable and light clothing. Weather is looking really nice, but as that day gets further through, closer to midday, it will start to warm up. So I encourage you to wear some light clothing. Again, understand your body. If you start to get dizzy or lightheaded, please stop, rest, and allow your body to cool down. The overheating is a critical medical issue. So just make sure you understand your body and don't push yourself too much, and alert us if you're feeling unwell. Lastly, which we've touched on, is just the weather. 14 degrees at the start of the day, moving into 20 degrees and partly cloudy. So it should be beautiful out there today. Winds look relatively light. A very slight chance of shower in the morning, but unlikely at this stage. So I think if we'd picked a day, this is it. So fingers crossed it stays like that. But we do know that weather meteorologists can get it wrong. So just keep an eye out for that. That is the end of the briefing. I appreciate you've listened to me talk for a long period, a lot of information to get through, but hopefully that helped and makes your experience on the day much better. But if you've got any questions, please shout out.
There are a bunch of questions. I'll go through them quickly. And Simon, if you have anything to add as I spit them out, because I know we've said that it'll only be 5 more minutes. Obviously, we go over. But first one is keep coming up by email and on all the socials is bibs postage. We have had a bunch of issues with this. So we've asked everyone to wait until today. If it still hasn't shown up, there will be backups available on Friday or on Saturday morning at the start line and the start of each leg, as Simon addressed at the start of the briefing. So yes, we'll get you sorted. Don't stress, but check the post. Make sure that hopefully it shows up. Volunteers and course markers be positioned on course. I mentioned this earlier. We have like 500 signs on course plus the pink tape that will be draped everywhere. So there should be a lot of signage out on course. Obviously, it's a really big city, and this is something that we spoke about earlier. So as Simon's mentioned about runners running on the footpath, not on the road, people miss and do miss the signage if you're running on the road, because the signage is all installed with the intention that you're going to be on the footpath. So that might be the reason that you miss some signage if you run on the road, but we don't want you to run on the road. So just run on the footpath and hopefully the signage will be clear as day. But as Simon said, if you haven't seen any for a few hundred metres, then it probably means that you've gone too far. Jump on the website, go on the event app, go on Garmin. There's all the different platforms have the updated route, and so you can get back on track. Bib numbers. Oh, sorry. So for bag labelling, we'll have tape and markers available for bib collection on Friday from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. is bib collection in the Seagull room at Bondi Pavilion, and on Saturday morning from 4:30 till 5:30. But hopefully a lot of runners should have taken off by then. Ultra runners who do bag drop, I'm talking about. So you can label your bags on site once you get your bib number. So don't worry about that. Compression bandage, as Simon said about mandatory kit. All mandatory kit is mandatory because the medical team suggests so. If you've not used it in a Mara, it's because most Maras are on roads, and roads are super easy to access for medical teams and ambos and stuff, whereas we are in national parks. We have sections where you're, off course for like a 20-minute access, or there might be people walking in to get you. So it's really for your own safety, to make sure that if you get bitten by a snake or hurt something, which touch wood, I hope that doesn't happen to anyone, but it's just safety first. And same with the thermal blanket, is in case your body goes into shock and it takes us 15 minutes to get to you. These things just are a safety thing for a reason, basically. Crew access aid station 4, a lot of locals will know this is the office in Manly, 70 Ks. There's open space. It's like picnic area. One of our first ultra runners, Andrea, the slow coach, she wrote a beautiful piece about how she was running through there towards the end of the day, and all of the people were sitting there drinking wine, and they did a big, Mexican wave of cheers as she was running past. So yes, there's like lots of access. They can come down and meet you there. It's also at the other end of the finish line, so it's actually a really easy one for people to come and cheer you on just before that final 10K leg around North Head. So it's quite a nice one to get a bit of a morale boost. Road or trail shoes, Chris has responded to this after this. So we've always been advised by a lot of our coaches to use road shoes for the whole track. Most importantly is because trail shoes are really dense, quite hard on the feet, hard on the legs and hard on the knees. So just any bitumen or concrete or anything in trail shoes would be more harmful than the opposite way, like using road shoes or general trainers on dirt. So that's why I recommend road shoes, as Chris has done. If you need to transfer a registration because of an injury, if you can please email ultra@bonditomanly.com. If you can't see that, it's on the website, and the team, Malva and Harry, will get back to you. We are getting a lot of emails, so just give them kind of a day or two to come back to you before you get worried. Walking through the... Okay, Simon. Can you talk through the path towards Clifton Gardens, Balmoral, where you see people get lost? If it's at the end of Clifton Gardens, this is asking everyone to imagine, at the end of Clifton Gardens, you go down onto the beach, and then you run along the beach for, I want to say 40 metres, 30, 40 metres before you take a little staircase and then go along a wharf, which is in front of a cafe and that beautiful venue that people get married at all the time.
I'm just bringing it up now.
Yeah, cool. Okay, that makes it easier. Thank you. Ripples.
I knew what you were talking about, ripples.
Yeah.
So yeah, as Elle alluded to, coming along the beach, water station here, you then drop onto the beach, go on the sand. You then come in front of the building and then up a staircase, and then go back onto running parallel to the road. Last year, participants went up the hill to the Gunners Barracks. This year we don't. We go along parallel to Chowder Bay Road, and then go along George's Head Path, which is a still path all the way around, then cutting back. This section in through here will be coned, and you'll go through a gate, which will be open, and then out to the headland. This area here again, not sure why, but people have found that they get a little bit lost. But we'll have plenty of cones to just follow that, and plenty of volunteers around the headland and then back down the single trail, back up to Middlehead Road. So we've done so much work over the last couple of years to improve our signage and marking out. So I'm really confident that if you're looking out, you'll see the signs. There's plenty of cones, there's plenty of chalk, there's plenty of tape. But as Elle alluded to, the reasons we're finding people getting lost is if they're not on the path, the footpath. So we have been called to certain areas where has been deemed an issue. We've gone there, responded, and it's what we would deem would be the reason is that people aren't on the footpath or on the road. So just making sure you follow those rules.
Yeah. So this whole section that Simon's just run through is a new-ish route anyway, like the part from when you get to the top past Ripples and connect to Middlehead, that's the new section of path. So it's, I'd say, a lot simpler. It's kind of you running along the road for a section and then you kind of next to the road and then you cut onto the new Middlehead route. And it's a single trail, so it is easier. There's not so many diversions and stuff like last year and the previous year. And it's a really beautiful path. It's a few runners that I saw at Bib Collection last weekend have run it recently and loved it as well. It's that like elevated, graded path that's beautiful to run on, but horrible to fall on. So just stay upright if you can. Fuel available at aid stations is the next question. It's on the website under aid station, aid/station. It's Hyro electrolyte. You can drink Hyro is their website if you want to look at the like details of what's in Hyro. And water, Coca-Cola are the 3 drinks, and then bananas, watermelons and oranges is the fruit, and then we have like mini chocolates, chips, trail mix, lollies and Cliff Bars, peanut butter flavour. I will say on the Cliff Bars, we like obviously just keep in mind that there are a bunch of runners start to finish, and we want to make sure that the last runners get the fuel that they need as well. So just try not to grab too many, I know that sounds bad, but we don't get we get a limited supply. So I'd love to say grab 10 from each aid station, but it would mean that the back of the pack or the last half of the pack would miss out. So just keeping it in mind would be great. And that's the response on gels, is there aren't any gels. Cliff is our kind of energy partner for this year. The slides can be emailed to you afterwards, as well as this whole presentation will be uploaded online onto bonanzamanlyultra.com/pre-race-briefing. It's under the runners heading on the website. If a relay runner before you drops out due to fitness, the next person can start off 15 minutes before the cut-off time of the next wave. There's the answer. Do all members need to be at the finish line? Not at all. It's just a great atmosphere. We have the participant photographers down there, and they get, your final shot as you're coming down the chute. And it's really fun. You get to celebrate together or go, for a drink and celebrate. So it's more just that you can come down the chute all together, but only the last runner technically needs to cross the timing mat so that your team finishes. Can't find your teammates in the app. All relay members will be loaded into the app after bib collection closes on Friday. There's just a lot of chopping and changing with the relay bib numbers, people getting them or needing backups or whatever. So just to avoid us loading them into the system and then having to reload a second set, and in the meantime you've got all your friends to follow you and that whole set gets dropped off the system, or we reload them again, and it's just you wouldn't know that you weren't then following them the next day. So we just load all of them after the bib collection closes on Friday, which is 6 p.m. But obviously, it's not going to be at 6 p.m. on the dot. So give us a little bit, and it'll be there on the morning. But you obviously can just send out your bib number to your friends and family, and then they can load, see you in the system as soon as they're online. Okay, sorry. What time would you recommend a solo wave B runner?
Poppy.
Muting Ian. Solo Wave B runner to get to Bondi in the morning. So we recommend everyone to arrive an hour before, just bag drop, stretching, go to the bathroom, just make sure that you're ready, waiting for your wave to start. Wave B, like elites are going to start at 5:15, and then we release 15-ish runners every 30 seconds, which means, it's like 5 minutes to release wave A. So by 5:21, we're releasing wave B. So if you're cutting it that fine, replan your morning a little bit. I'd just try and get there like 4:30, 4:45, just so that you've got time. No one wants to be stressed out before an 80K run, just give yourself that kind of mental set, I would say. Others still run for the relay. If they miss the cutoff, I just mentioned that one. Yes, you do still run. You just take off 15 minutes before the cutoff time. Is one support crew member allowed to enter aid station 2? Can they collect drop bags and assist their runners? So you saw on the map from Simon, we just have the fenced off chute, and then all spectators, support crew can be on the outside of that chute. We do have like a relay area where there's all of the kind of excitedly waiting relay runners standing on one side, which is where the aid station is. But on the other side, a lot of ultra runners get their crew to come there, bring them extra, whatever they want. So yes, they can come down. It's not like it's a closed in room and we check your, bib before you enter. It's a park. They can come past. We do suggest for all support crew, if they're coming to an aid station, to use public transport, because traffic is already going to be quite congested, and we like to keep the roads as clear as possible for the medical team. So if support crew are coming to an aid station, then yeah, please get them to use public transport. If they're going anywhere else on the harbour, we've got a bunch of recommendations of where they can head, suggested locations on the website under support crew is the subheading. Yes, you should share gels. Can support crew for ultra runners use the shuttle bus? So that's for aid station 3. Aid station 3 has the shuttle bus, which is to Clontarf and Manly. The timings are all on the website. Yes, your support crew can use that bus going from Manly to Clontarf. It runs every 30 minutes. The only thing, like the caveat that I would put on that, is that if they can please give priority to a runner. Just if a runner thinks that they're going to be late, then, we don't want support crew to block the runner from getting to the aid station on time. So that's a yes. Can we exchange event tees for the right size at the finish? It's an asterisk one. We have got some spares of some sizes, but it's mostly male medium and male large, and female medium. It depends on the run, basically. Your relay or your ultra runner, you can bring it down and you can check. That's what I would say. Can we show up in the morning for the Manly bus? No, you can't just show up. You're going to have a little QR code that's going to be sent to everybody, I think it's tomorrow. And so you have to show that to get onto the bus. We did just order another bus to come from Manly to Bondi. That's the 3:30 to 3:45 for ultra runners and 4:15 for relay runners. So it is back on Race Roster in the store of Race Roster. So you can purchase a spot on the bus through their Race Roster store. There will be sun cream at the aid stations, as well as salt tablets at aid station 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4, not at the finish line. Is it too late to get a ticket for the morning bus to the start line? Just answer that one. No, just jump on Race Roster store for the Bondi Manly Ultra and you can purchase a spot. Just make sure that you're purchasing it for the Ultra, which is the 3:30 to 3:45 departure time, or the relay, which is the 4:15 departure time. Yes, you can use earphones on the course, obviously just being smart and safe about it. Like you would in any run, you want to be able to hear someone behind you if someone's coming up on a narrow trail and they're saying on your left, or there's a member of the general public, whatever. You just just be smart about it. But yes, that's fine.
Elle, can I just, sorry, I can't access the chat. I don't know, just from my work. I just want to quickly ask a question around, is there any acknowledgement of country at the beginning of the race?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you.
No worries. Well, I say that we have it organised, but last year they unfortunately missed their alarm. So it is intended, and if they miss their alarm again, then we do have a one of the board of the Bondi to Manly Ultra who will do one on the, so yeah. So I'm going to keep going through all these questions as quickly as possible. I know that we're running late, sorry. No requirement for a waterproof jacket at this stage. No, there is no requirement. The weather is looking ace, so touch wood, hopefully nothing changes. Schedule for the bus from Manly to Clontarf is on the website under, just let me double check as I type it in, bondi-to-manlyultra.com, and then it should be /transport, really creative in the names. And yeah, that's exactly it. The shuttle runs every 30 minutes from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m, taking leg 4 runners to aid station 3 from Manly and bringing leg 3 runners back from Clontarf to Manly every alternate 30 minutes. So basically leaves Manly at 8 a.m. and leaves Clontarf at 8:15, and then half an hour every time from both of them. If friends want to pass solo runners, blah, 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 where is best to do this? Just not on the side where the relay changeover is, would be my recommendation. So if you do want to reach out, like if your friends or family want to come and give you water or gels or whatever, recommend there's one side that will be busy because there'll be a lot of relay runners all hovering, getting ready and excited, and kind of all peering over the barricades to make sure that they can spot their relay runner on approach. And then the other side is generally clear. It's people just hovering around like general spectators. So the opposite side to the relay changeover side. The relay changeover side is also the side where the aid station marquee is. So the opposite side again to that one. Any need to change into trail shoes at any point? No. Well, that's the advice that there you go. Someone's responded to that anyway. Mates allowed to run parts of the course with participants. I mean, it is public path, right? So you can have mates with you. Just from our perspective, a lot of the path is narrow and there's general public or there's other runners on course who might want to take over you. So just be mindful of who's around you and not blocking the path, not running on the roads. And obviously they can't use any of the aid station or amenities or anything that is part of the event. Is it on trail between Chowder Bay Road and the water, or is it alongside the road? So Chowder Bay Road is the part around Middlehead that we just looked through the map on. So it's a new route, and basically you come up past Ripples and the usual spot. Normally we'd cross the road and go up. Instead, there's like 150, 200 metres where you're running next to the road on the path, and then you ditch into the new snazzy National Parks route, which is like that raised, elevated, gratey stuff and a lot of dirt. Is it okay to wear trail shoes on leg 4? There's some road running and bitumen in leg 4, so we wouldn't recommend it. We would recommend just regular road shoes for every. There you go. Someone said personal choice. Wore trail shoes on leg 4 last year and it was fine. What time is the bus due to arrive from Manly to Bondi? It takes about half an hour at that time of the morning. So we've got 3 buses that will leave between 3:30 and 3:45. So we would suggest if you are getting a bus from Manly to Bondi in the morning, go earlier rather than later. Like don't leave it till 3:45 because you don't want to, we don't want the other 2 buses to have gone and then there's 1 bus. 3:30 to 3:45, you should get there from 4 to 4:15 broadly. How many Ks in leg 3? Leg 3 is our longest one. It's the longest stretch between an aid station. It's 23 kilometres. And I think mentally, obviously, it's, feels long because it's a lot of trail. It's not so much city. It's really beautiful. It's like my favourite leg, if I'm allowed to say that. But yeah, it's a longer one. what happens if one of the relay members DNF during their relay race due to a serious condition? As before, the next relay runner just takes off 15 minutes before the cutoff time. Where can we find the slides? They will be uploaded onto the website, same as this video recording, at bondimanlyultra.com/pre-race-briefing. Someone has a spot for 3 people leaving from Manly at 3:40 a.m. If you want to get in the car, then message that person, Alan Sewell. I hope you don't mind me calling that out, Alan. Are there buses between each leg? No, there's a bunch of public transport. Check out the website, bondimanlyultra.com/transport, and there's recommendations on there. Yes, you can pick up your cup at the start line. Anyone who got bib postage, you can collect your T-shirt and hats and socks if you ordered them at the finish line. Cups, obviously, you want before, so you can pick them up at the start line or the start of each leg, but tees, hats, socks will be at the finish line. Electrolytes of nutritional value next year. I will make it a mission. I will try. Thank you all. Okay, wait, there's more questions. Thank you, guys. Leg is the most exposed to the sun. Tough one, but I think because of the time of day and the temperature, it'd be leg 4. Running around North Head, it's a lot of low shrubbery. It's a lot of native shrubbery. Like it's a really beautiful area, but a lot of runners are hitting that section the last 10 Ks in the kind of heat of the afternoon. So I'll probably save that one without knowing exactly what the tree coverage, without thinking through the tree coverage of every single part, but I think that would probably be it. Where are the water points on leg 3, please? Look at the map. Go bondimanlyultra.com/course-map, and we've got the water and the toilet stops all identified on that map. Thank you all. Thank you, guys. Okay, amazing. Any other questions, you can always email ultra@bondimanly.com, or I'm on the socials and try to respond to everyone as quick as I can, so Facebook or Instagram. So we will wrap it up there. Thank you, everyone. Good luck. We'll see you on Saturday morning. Can't wait. Thanks all.
Thanks, Elle.
Thanks,
Amazing.
guys. Thank you. Bye.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thank you.